there and welcome to today's video. Today I'm going to be telling you all about the new Natasha Denona Glam palette. I don't know about you, but I've been waiting a long time for a full cool toned palette. This week, Natasha Denona launched the Glam palette, which is billed to be a cool toned palette. Is this the palette we've been waiting for? Let's get started and find out. First of all, this palette costs $65 and it contains 15 eyeshadows. It also has this really sleek silver packaging. It's very well loved over the past few days. It has a lot of fingerprints on it. Yours won't come like that, but it might end up looking like that. Inside, we have 15 different shades that are a mix of shimmer and matte finishes. Along with the color story, one of my absolute favorite things about this palette are the shade names. Instead of giving them traditional shade names like love and romance and fall sweater or sweater weather or whatever weird things people name eyeshadow, nail polishes, lip glosses, this time Natasha Denona named the eyeshadows after their use. For example, you can see there are shade names like crease, transition, inner corner, outer corner, center eyelid. And I think that's a really cool concept. I don't know about you, but sometimes when I look at eyeshadow palettes, especially ones with more vibrant or bold colors, I look at the palettes and I think, what in the world is that color for? So getting a glimpse into the artist or the designer's mind, I think is really, really cool. And with all of these shades being neutrals, I think this really opens up this palette to be great for beginners and experts alike. Because if you're an expert, let's be honest, when was the last time you really cared what a shade's name was? I don't remember the last time I was doing my makeup for the day going, oh, I really want to use Enchanting today. I can't wait. Like, ooh, I really want to use that shimmer pink today. I can't wait. It doesn't matter what the name is. I'm never going to call it by name. Not to mention the fact that these Natasha Denona palettes are made that you can pop the shadows out. So if you're going to take them out and just put them in a magnetic palette anyway, the names don't really matter. So having the opportunity to give a beginner a little bit of guidance, I think is really, really nice. And if you're an expert, you can obviously use whichever colors you want, wherever you want. Just because it's called inner corner doesn't mean that you always have to use it on your inner corner. Another thing I noticed about this palette, and I'm not sure if it's part of its intended design or not, but I've really been paying more attention to how people lay out their palettes because there's usually some sort of reason. It's either because you should be able to make a look vertically or horizontally, or in this case, I think you can use little quadrants. So I think every 4 eyeshadows would make an incredibly cohesive look. And I really love that because again, if you're not an expert or if you're really not up on color theory or some of the other very technical things that makeup artists use when they design their palettes or collaborations or just their looks in general, sometimes I think having those shortcuts or those little inspiration ideas can be really helpful. So again, I love looking at these in little squares, little groups of 4. So every 4 shadows you have like a crease, a highlight and a darker shade, something for your corner. Same here, I would do crease, corner, lid, outer corner. Same thing here, go crease, outer corner, lid, deep crease in the corner. Same thing here, go highlight, lid, outer crease, general outer crease. Use this to really deepen and give a little bit more depth. Same here for something a little lighter, more neutral. Maybe a highlight, a lid, transition, and crease. I think you can do a lot of different things with this palette, and that is one thing that I am truly loving about this little Glam palette is that it can really take you from day to night to vacation to anywhere in between, all with one palette. You've got your silvers in here if you want more of a silver holiday look. You've got your golds if you want something just a little bit warmer. Even though we're talking a cool tone palette, it doesn't mean that you can't have golds and chocolates. It's just a different undertone. And same thing with the champagnes and this little pink. This pink is so pretty. You can really do a lot with one palette. And if you've been to my blog before, you know how important one and done palettes are to me. I don't want to spend $65 on a palette that I then have to bring in a second $65 palette to get other colors. Of course, these are all more neutral shades. So if you're wanting to bring in a pink, a blue, a green, obviously you will have to go elsewhere for that. But you're not paying $65 for something that you have to bring something else in for. You can truly take this anywhere and get whatever look you need. You can take this for a girls trip. You can take this for a work trip. It's perfect for vacation, for date night. Then again, we're not really traveling anywhere right now, so it's also perfect for your Zoom calls or your outdoor patio dates. But I really love that you can use so many shades for so many different looks all in this one palette, even though it looks very plain. For today's look, I'm wearing Transition all over my lid and up into my crease. And then I have crease in my crease, center eyelid on my center eyelid, inner corner in my inner corner, and then smoke in the outer corner just to deepen things up just a little bit. I also love that this black lash line could be used as like an eyeshadow liner, just using a very thin brush. You can kind of pack it in or even buff it out a little bit, or you can use a mixing medium and turn it into a liner, or of course you can use it as a normal black shadow and really smoke out your look. Two more thoughts on the names of these shadows. There are a few duplicates. For example, this is outer eyelid and this is also outer eyelid. So if you're telling someone what shades you're using, I wouldn't recommend just saying, hey, I used outer eyelid, because there's multiple. That can be confusing. But when it comes to having a tutorial and using this palette as your guide, it doesn't bother me that there are two with the same name. Whereas if we were using the fun eyeshadow names that we talked about, you would never have two in the same palette called Enchanting. That would be kind of weird. But with this being used as a guide or a template, it doesn't bother me that there are two with the same name. The little bit of controversy that I have heard about this palette so far is that my transition shade, which the shade Transition is a really great transition shade for me. It's a little bit dark, but nothing terrible. That transition shade is not going to be universal. Everybody's transition shade is not going to be the same. Just like I feel cool tones work better on me, not everyone feels that they want cool tones. Some people want warmer tones. You may look amazing in golds and bronzes, and they just don't look as good on me. But when it comes to shades like calling something nude or transition or something that's supposed to be universal that isn't, that's kind of a struggle. So instead of having two shades that are kind of similar in here, they could have swapped one out for maybe Transition and Transition Deep, or Transition Light, Transition Medium, Transition Deep, or something. Or on the flip side, they could have done something like the Huda Mini Nude palettes, where you have a light, a medium, and a deep, and then give the instruction of this is great for lid, this is great for crease, this is great for transition, this is great for inner corner. But overall, I would really need to see this palette on other skin tones to know if these truly are suitable for everybody, or if it is made for a lighter skin toned person like me. I just wanted to acknowledge that I have heard that, and it is true. We need to be more inclusive with our colors, and especially our naming conventions. These shades do match my skin tone very well, but that's not saying that you can't repurpose what might be my lid shade for a highlight or something like that. So that is kind of a cautionary tale of naming your shades after the use, because again, makeup is very personal. Now for the fun part, let's do some swatches. I am going to swatch all of the shades in 2 rows down my arm so you can see them all at the same time. Obviously, if I did them a row at a time, you would be able to see larger swatches, but I think it's really important to be able to see all of the shades at once to see the full color story altogether. Starting from the top row, left to right, we have center eyelid, outer eyelid, inner corner, crease, and transition. Second row, from left to right, we have smoke, blend, lash line, inner corner, and center eyelid. Bottom row, from left to right, we have center eyelid, outer eyelid, center eyelid, outer eyelid, and brow bone. I really love this color story. I mean, when these sparkle shades hit the light, they just come to life. They are so pretty. I didn't do a very good job of swatching these down here, but you can see that this is almost kind of like an olivey green silver. It's so pretty. This one is almost like a silvery blue. This pink is so pretty on. I've been wearing it on my lid the past few days, and this is the center eyelid that I have on my lid today. One of the looks that I've really been loving lately, it's super pretty when it hits the light. It's this pink, the first center eyelid on my lid with the first inner corner in the inner corner, transition and crease, and then smoke it out a little bit with smoke, and then buff this outer eyelid, which is this outer eyelid right here, and just kind of buff that in over the area that you applied the shade Smoke, and it really kind of diffuses out the shimmer into this gorgeous shimmery look. It's just so pretty, especially when the light hits it. It's very flattering, very soft and romantic. It's gorgeous. And then another great look I did with this palette is to use the matte shades. I used Transition in my crease and all over my lid, lightly buffed crease into my crease, and then added just a hint of Smoke into the outer corners for a little bit of depth. So I used these three shades together, and it created the prettiest matte, just very neutral, soft, everyday eye. I did a little bit of the Ilia mascara and a tiny little bit of liner, and it was just a very soft, pretty look. So even though you have all of these shimmer shades and all these fun colors, and the matte seem just very basic and blah, you know, transition, crease, smoke, blah, you can really use them for very, very pretty looks, even though you're not using the shades in necessarily the way they were intended. And of course, if you do like your golds, but you do prefer a little bit more of a neutral tone or a cool tone palette, you still have a couple of gold and champagne-y shades that will give you a little bit more warmth. Overall, I am obsessing over this palette. Of course, I did have high hopes going into this. I think Natasha Denona's palettes are extremely great quality. Before I got this little guy in the mail, I was pretty much living off of my Natasha Denona Mini Nude palette. I use it almost every day. It's my go-to. Like I said, I did have high hopes for this one. I really wanted to like her. And of course I do. She is so beautiful. This color story is gorgeous. It's so versatile. This is truly a palette that is amazing for beginners and experts alike. You can do so many different things with it. I know I've said this a lot, but it is a one and done palette. You don't have to think about it. Everything you need is right here. And in my opinion, it's worth the $65. Honestly, I'm surprised this isn't a holiday launch, because to me, this is a holiday palette. This is what you would use for your glam looks, the Glam palette. But this is what you would use for your holiday parties, your events. It's got your silver smoky eye. It's got your glitters. It's got kind of those chocolatey shades. It's got the black shade for a little bit more of a true smoky eye. I think this is a hit. I love this palette. I will definitely be reaching for it every day. I think this might be my new favorite. Of course, I want to know what you think about this Glam palette too, so let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, ring the bell so you know when I launch a new video, and I'll see you next time.